Hello, everybody. How are you? My name is Roy Nemer. I'm your Wrestleview.com SmackDown recapper. This is the Wrestleview.com SmackDown Post Show number 7. It's the FastLane Go Home Show. We have a lot to talk about, and let's get to it. Honestly, let's just get to it. Hello, everyone in the chat. I see a couple people. I see Andrew. I see Brian. I see Quentin. I see Gil's fan. I see. If I missed you guys, I'm sorry. I do apologize. How are you guys doing? Again, once more, my name is Roy Nemer, and this was the SmackDown Go Home Show. Happy Friday, Brian. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are safe. And so I was reading in the chat really quick before we begin. Someone, I believe it was Andrew, said we're going to get Roy rambling at the start of the show. Unfortunately, it looks like we're getting something like that. It looks like we're getting something like that. And however, but hey, Jamel. I see Jamel in the chat as well. So if you guys are in the chat, say hello. And hope you guys enjoy the show. Hope you guys enjoyed SmackDown. And make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. We're here 2 to 3 times a week on Raw for Mondays, on SmackDown on Fridays, and on Sundays as well. Mashoon says another thing, God, it's Friday thing, Roy. Yes, it is. It's been a difficult week, or at least a long week, I think, or at least for myself. But let's get to it. I see Juan in there as well. Handsome Roy. You guys are too kind. You guys are very, very kind. All right, so let's get to it. Okay, let's get to it. We're going to get to the start of the show. So for once, actually, we did not get a Roman Reigns promo. We did not get an Edge promo. We did not get a Daniel Bryan promo. We actually got a match. We actually got a match to kick off the show. And so I'm just looking at the chat. Mashoon says, are you ranting on Sasha tonight? I feel like I kind of have to. I kind of have to. So we kick off the show, and let's just show all. Here we go. There you go. So we kick off the show. We get Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. They're kind of arguing backstage and this and that. And Bianca tells her, "I can't believe you accepted this match," and whatnot. So very, very short argument to kick off the show. And we get our women's championship match. So we get Sasha Banks defending her championship against Nia Jax with Shayna Baszler. Now, my whole problem with this to begin with, right off the bat, and not necessarily just Sasha, right? Because I'm going to get to Sasha in a second. We're going to get to Ramblin' Roy in a moment here. So, but before I get to that, we get Bianca Belair backstage, and she tells Sasha Banks, "Look, I'm not going to go out there. I'm not going to bail you out." So right away, Bianca makes it clear, "Look, Sasha, you're on your own. I'm not going out there. It's you against the world. It's you against Nia, against Shayna. It doesn't matter." So, alright, that's cool. Match starts off, Nia Jax in control, Samoan drop, some weird submissions, just on a roll, absolutely smashing Bianca everywhere. And she's made to look good, right? Nia's made to look like a monster, everything is cool. And then suddenly, Bianca's music hits. Bianca Belair's music hits, and out she comes, checking up on Sasha. And you guys know I'm a big Bianca Belair fan. I'm a massive fan. Absolutely love her character, love her in the ring, love her promos, love everything about her. But the writing just completely dropped the ball on this one. Completely dropped the ball. How could you have Bianca Belair say, "Yeah, you're on your own tonight. I'm not going to go out and help you." And then less than 5 minutes later, literally less than 5 minutes later, you have Bianca Belair come out and check on Sasha Banks. So essentially, Sasha Banks gets her ass kicked the entire match. Nia looks good out there. And then Nia just looks bad at the very end, because we get the finish where Shayna Baszler and Bianca fight into the ring. Referee's distracted. Shayna accidentally kicks Nia instead of kicking Banks. And then Banks gets the 1-2-3, gets the win. Look, this is, again, the sooner Sasha Banks is off my television, the better. And my whole thing at the beginning of this show, when I saw Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, I said, you know what? We're going to get this over with. We're going to sit through Sasha for the next 10 to 15 minutes, and that's it. That's going to be the last we're going to see of her for the rest of the show. And forget it. It might just be a good thing, right? No, it's not. Why? Because we actually end up seeing Sasha Banks later on in the show, albeit very briefly. But it was a couple of seconds. I'm never getting back in my life later on that show when we saw Sasha. So that was just horrible. Look, Nia Jax looked good out there, except for the ending. Just made her look very weak. And Sasha did not look like a champion out there. And if you're a casual viewer, so if you're a new subscriber to Peacock and you see WWE on your network and you're like, you know what, I'm going to give this SmackDown thing a try, you would not know that Sasha Banks was the champion. You would not know that Sasha Banks is the babyface champion, because she got absolutely demolished out there and won in, I'll say, a heelish fashion. But if you're watching that, how the hell is Sasha Banks champion? How is Sasha Banks champion? It makes no sense. It literally doesn't at all. At all. 0 sense. Let's go to the chat. Let's see what you guys think about this. What do you guys think? What did you guys think about the opening match? What did you guys think about Bianca saying, I'm not going to help you, you're on your own, and then less than 5 minutes later, 4 or 5 minutes later, she's out there helping Sasha. What do you guys think? Let's take a look at the chat. Gills fan, so Bianca is being made to be a stereotypical stupid babyface. It does look like it. It does look like it, and I hate it. I hate it. We still have 3 weeks of this, roughly 3 SmackDowns left before WrestleMania. This was the last SmackDown before FastLane, and you have Bianca Belair, who essentially, Gills fan, you said it. She's being made to look like a stereotypical bad babyface. Just stupid. They really, I don't know what they did with her. I did not like what creative did with her tonight at all. And this wasn't the end of Bianca. We saw a bit of her later on that night. Nothing against Bianca. I love her. You guys know that. I think we're all, Bianca Belair fans. But this was atrocious. Andrew says, that was so stupid, and then what happens later in the night? Yeah, we're going to get to that, Andrew. We're definitely going to get into that. Gills fan, perhaps they saw how bad Sasha was as a face, so thought, let's bring Bianca down to Sasha's level. But see, this is my problem. And it's not necessarily the fact that you have 2 baby faces going into WrestleMania, right? Because Bianca is a baby face, and for the most part, they kind of built Sasha Banks up to be a babyface as well. So I have nothing wrong with that. I don't find anything wrong with that. Babyface versus babyface works. What doesn't work is when you dumb one of them down in Bianca Belair, and then the other one, who's your champion, just makes for like bad television. I'm sorry, I can't watch Sasha Banks, and I truly, truly hope they don't go down the road of having Bianca and Sasha win the tag titles at Fastlane on Sunday, which I don't think they will, but we will get into our Fastlane predictions, by the way. So I did forget to mention that. We will be doing our Fastlane predictions, so tune in. Not just myself, I want to see what you guys think about that as well, about Fastlane. But continuing with the chat, so Andrew says, Bianca was right about one thing, Sasha has an ego. She definitely does. Sasha has an ego, not in a good way, right? If you want to make it in the business, obviously you need to have an ego. There's nothing wrong with that, but Sasha has one in a bad way, and that's a problem. So Bryan says, at least have Belair go down and hell get her disqualified or something to explain why she won't go down there after saying she wouldn't. Exactly, there was no explanation. There was absolutely no explanation out there. You have Bianca Belair saying, I'm not going to get involved, and then she does, and there's zero explanation towards it at all. And again, this just adds to, Gills fans' comment of, they're making Bianca be a stereotypical stupid babyface, unfortunately. At least that's what happened tonight. Regarding Fastlane, I'm guessing, Michun says anything could happen. And Bryan says, what are the chances of them having Belair turn on Sasha at Fastlane? I would like that very much. But I feel like if one's going to turn on the other, it's going to be Sasha turning on Bianca. Just because Bianca has so much momentum, and finally with a live crowd, and especially a WrestleMania crowd, I think you have to ride the momentum of Bianca being a babyface. And if anything, if you're gonna turn one of them heel, I think in this case it would have to be Sasha Banks. That's the heel, right? I just feel like it fits her better, and it goes with her character. It goes with her shitty ego, But anyways, and Gills fan says, it would be stupid to do that, Bryan, so they'll probably do it. Hopefully not. I hope they have a bit more sense than that, than to actually turn Bianca, of all people, heel. I truly hope so. I truly, truly hope so. So after we had Sasha Banks somehow, some way retain the SmackDown Championship, and I'm not done with Sasha, unfortunately, because that rant is continuing on when we get to her again later on in the show. So we see a clip of Edge, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, and Daniel Bryan from last week. That whole brawl that occurred at the end of the show. Edge cuts a promo, pretty solid promo, a good one. He says SmackDown's always felt like home. It's always been a home. I defeated The Undertaker for the World Heavyweight Championship. It was bittersweet because I then had to forfeit the championship. And tonight, Edge is wrestling on SmackDown for the first time in about 10 years, right? In about a decade, which is crazy when you actually think about it, and made me feel incredibly old at one point. So, anyways, Edge cuts a promo, says, Jey Uso's a great talent, but he's in Roman's shadow, and being in Roman's shadow could lead to problems, and tonight, I'm the problem. Good promo by Edge. What'd you guys think of it? Let me know. Was it a good promo by Edge? Was there something you guys thought he touched upon, maybe he shouldn't have? Or let me know what you guys thought. Here were essentially my thoughts, right? So we got Bianca tells Sasha that she won't go out there and save her. Not even 5 minutes later, Bianca Belair walks out to the ring to check up on Sasha. That's just poor writing, right? It really is. And regarding the match itself, one kick followed by a cover about 5 seconds later by Sasha Banks is enough to get the win against Nia Jax. That was a dominant performance by Nia, but she looked bad in the end. And still no reason as to why Bianca was out there. We never got an explanation. We really didn't. Zero. And to be honest with you, if you guys missed the show, we didn't really get an explanation later on. So if you guys missed it, you did not miss an explanation, unfortunately. I'm going to take a look at the chat. We got Janelle in there. What's up, buddy? How are you? Hope you're well. And let's take a look at what everyone is saying. So, Gil's fan, exactly. Bianca won the Rumble as a babyface, so she should stay that way. Exactly. Jamal says, Sasha is such a terrible babyface. I can't see them turning Bianca just to keep Sasha a face. But I've seen dumber things from WWE. I agree, Jamal. I've seen I think we've all seen some horrible writing, some horrible creative stuff from that company, or essentially from every wrestling company, really. But hopefully they don't screw this one up, especially so soon to WrestleMania. Jamal once more, solid stuff from Edge. He put over main event Jey and hyped up the match itself. Yeah, and that's something that I think Edge and Daniel Bryan does particularly well. Both of them. They know how to not only hype themselves up, but hype up whatever they're involved in and hype up their opponent, which is something that let's say other champions like Sasha Banks might be able to do or should be able to do, but is not doing. So credit to Edge. I like that. Him and Bryan are definitely they definitely know how to put over some of the other talent. Andrew says it was a pretty good promo. But what really made me old was all the Edge memories playing tonight to hype things up. Yeah, I'm going to get to that too, Andrew, as well. They showed a couple of clips in there, 2 or 3 clips from Edge throughout the years. That just made me feel old. I'm like, whoa, this was a while ago. And Quentin, don't forget to like and subscribe, or else I'll make you watch every Sasha Banks promo. Yes, guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're here 2 to 3 times a week. Subscribe, help us grow, and we're nothing without you guys, right? We are nothing without you guys, so make sure to like and subscribe. Jamal says, curious as to how Jimmy Uso will factor into things. I think he shows up at FastLane in some capacity. I was thinking about that throughout the show as well, specifically during the main event when they just, they're showing Jey. I'm like, well, I wonder, are we ever going to get Jimmy again? And if he does show up, could it be so soon? Could it be at FastLane on Sunday? Or could it be even at WrestleMania in 3 weeks' time? So that's going to be interesting. That's going to be very, very interesting. Gil's fan says, Nia lost to 2 dropkicks and a Reginald on top of her before. She's so easy to beat lately. Yeah, that's unfortunate. It feels like 5 steps backwards and 2 steps forward with Nia Jax sometimes. Brian says, Edge is always money. It does seem like there's setting up an accidental error by Edge to cost Bryan, leading to a triple threat. I feel like it. I get that vibe where Edge might accidentally cost Daniel Bryan the win at Fastlane, or maybe some disqualification thing, and it does lead up to a triple threat. At this point, I feel like if they don't do a triple threat for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania, they've really dropped the ball there. I think we have to get a triple threat. I truly do. And Jamal says, it seems to be a lost skill in wrestling today. Smart thing is to put over yourself and your opponent. Even as a heel, you can do that. Exactly. And Edge does that every single time. Daniel Bryan did it pretty much throughout the entire main event when he was on commentary. Heck, even Ziggler and Rude did it on commentary. And this is something some of the younger talent could and should learn, to be honest with you. And Andrew says, if Jimmy doesn't show up, he might never be back. Yeah, that's true. And Brian says, Nia injures everybody she gets in the ring with, but somehow Sasha got out scot-free. Well, Brian, unless you were lucky enough to miss Sasha Banks on Steve Austin's show, Broken Skull, apparently Sasha Banks loves the business and she studied tapes and it's all she put her mind to. And, if you're gullible enough to believe that, then that's your own fault. I'm not saying you do, obviously. I'm just saying. I don't know how she got away scot-free. I don't know. And Jamal says, it's why I'm baffled by some of the AEW promos on or about Impact Wrestling, where they make fun of the company and kind of put them down. Unless it leads to Rick Swann beating Omega, it's odd. Right, relating to whoever you're fighting against, right? Totally agree. It's a lost art. It's really becoming a lost art. So let's get back to the show. This is not alcohol. I say this every single week. It's not alcohol. Just coffee, just something to drink. So cutting back to the show, we get a commercial break. After the commercial break, and this is something Andrew mentioned, we see a clip of Edge winning the tag team championships with Hulk Hogan from SmackDown 19 years ago. 19 years ago. We're talking, my math is not the best, but that's 2002, I believe. 2002, 20 years ago, Edge won the tag team championships, which is just incredible, just crazy to think of, honestly speaking, just absolutely crazy. But that was that. So then we got Shayna and Nia backstage. They're arguing, and Shayna apologizes. Nia tells her, look, don't apologize, just make it right. Shayna says, I'll fight Bianca Belair later tonight. That works. That works for me, and we're going to get to that later on. Then we got to Seth Rollins. Number one, I have no clue what he was wearing. I did not mention this in the report, nor did I tweet about it, but Seth's outfits and, his suits are just getting worse by the week. Every single week, it's as if he's wearing something. And today it was like it was like white with, it almost looked as if blue paint was splashed on the bottom part of it. It didn't look good. It didn't look right. But anyways, something I did not like about this Seth Rollins promo, and I tweeted about it here, actually, essentially. It's the first half of that Rollins promo was a repeat of every single promo we've gotten since his comeback. And essentially, it was just Seth Rollins coming out saying, I came back a few weeks ago. People respected me. The locker room was, surrounded the ring. They disrespected me. Cesaro stayed. It was literally the first 5 minutes was just the same old Seth Rollins promo. And it was bad. It was truly bad. It wasn't fun. It wasn't good. It wasn't engaging. It wasn't anything. It was nothing. It was a repeat. Finally, we kind of get, we get Rollins saying, well, Cesaro's jealous of me because I've accomplished everything and he hasn't. He's the biggest waste of talent. Out comes Nakamura, tells him to shut up, beats him up, hits him with the Kinshasa, and that's that. Right, so that's that. So that was our Seth Rollins promo. We did not see Cesaro tonight. There were a couple of absentees. Cesaro was one of them. And it's later announced that we're getting Shinsuke Nakamura against Seth Rollins at FastLane. And I'm going to get to that later on. When we make our FastLane predictions, I'm going to get into FastLane and touch a little bit on WrestleMania. But specifically, we're going to talk about Nakamura. All right, so that was that promo. It wasn't bad. Seth puts Cesaro over, despite kind of putting him down, right? Saying, well, you've accomplished nothing. Biggest wasted talent, which is obviously a backhanded compliment. But he says, you spun me around 22 times. You disrespected me. That's never going to happen again. So he does put Cesaro over to a certain extent. So this was my tweet. Here we go. So this was the tweet. I said, first half of that Rollins promo was a repeat. Not sure what they'll do with Nakamura here, as Fastlane is on Sunday and WrestleMania is in 3 weeks. And I stand by it, and that's something, like I said, we will get into later on. So what do you guys think of this promo? Let me know what do you guys think of this Seth Rollins promo. I'll take a look at the chat. So going back earlier, Bryan says about Sasha Banks, well, she did invent women's wrestling, of course. And Gil's fan, 2 botching wrestlers against each other obviously cancel each other out regarding Nia and Sasha. And Jamel says, Jesus, 19 years, time truly is a son of a bitch. And this is obviously talking about Edge, who won the tag titles 19 years ago. 19 years ago. That's a lot. That's a lot. I think TNA Impact was still in its infancy, which is incredible in and of itself. Andrew mentioned the suit stuff on Twitter. Speaking of go home, can Seth go home, please? Yeah, the one good thing about Seth that I actually enjoyed about tonight was the fact that he didn't necessarily talk about embrace the vision and being the Messiah. So that made his promo slightly more tolerable, let's say. Slightly more tolerable. Gil's fan, Seth leading into WrestleMania 38. I remember when the roster walked out on me. I could see that, right? Like WrestleMania 40, WrestleMania 50, Seth will still be cutting the same promo. And Quentin says, Seth has scratch record syndrome every week with his promo. It's the same thing. It's a broken record, right? It's the broken record. Gil's fan, you say that every week, Andrew, and I hope you never stop. And Andrew says, I won't Gil's until he's off television. And Bryan says, if this is all they have for Seth, why not just let him stay home with this kid and Becky? And this is what I don't understand. So unless they actually do something with Cesaro where he gets a convincing win against Seth Rollins, having Seth back, give him the time off. All kidding aside, Seth's been a solid worker for several years, rarely took time off. Him and Becky, they had a child, they had a kid. Congratulations to them. And especially with everything going on, if they're not going to do anything with him, if they're not going to use him to get Cesaro over, this is a big mistake. This is a massive mistake they're doing. Because they easily could have kept Seth off television for several months and had him finally come back towards something better. But if they have Cesaro get the victory at FastLane, at WrestleMania, this could be worth it. This could be worth it. So let's continue with the show. After that, we had the Street Profits versus Rey and Dominik Mysterio. A relatively short match, but we did get Rey and Dominik Mysterio getting the win, which was surprising. And this is 2 wins in a row now for them, 2 or 3 wins in a row, at least for Dominik Mysterio, which is good. We've spoken about this every single week. It seems like they got to do something with Dominik, get him away from his father, from Rey. This week wasn't the case. They stuck them together again, and they stuck them together twice even. So, they got the win. I don't think the Street Profits came out of this looking bad per se. Not necessarily, since it was kind of a roll-up win. But this whole tag team division, and we're going to get into it in a second, this whole tag team division just looks like a mess. And I'll keep my thoughts for after, because we're going to get into it. So, this was essentially my tweet. I wrote, the Mysterios actually get another win. Nothing to write home about regarding this match. But if they're going to have Rey and Dominik get the win versus the Street Profits, they better make it count. And boy, did they ever not make it count. Why? Because what followed was Rey and Dominik versus Otis and Gable, where Otis and Gable got the win. Look, I have no problem with Otis and Gable getting wins. I truly don't. What I have a problem with is if they're going to get the wins and they're building up Otis to be this monster, which I've, again, no problem with. But if you're going to do that, don't do that at the expense of another tag team that needs a win. That's my problem. And that's where I think poor booking or poor planning or poor whatever you want to call it comes into play. Because both of these teams need the wins. Rey and Dominik need the wins. Obviously Dominik more than Rey. And Otis and Gable need the wins. So if you're putting them together, this is a bad idea. This is a very bad idea. Unless you're going to make them both look like absolute studs. Both teams look like freaking superstars. This is a bad idea. Really bad idea. And this is what we got here. And this is my thoughts. I said, it wasn't a bad tag team match. It really wasn't. And the commentary was even good. We had Ziggler and Rude out there with the Street Profits on commentary, which was fun. It was entertaining. It was cool. It added to the match. And in my opinion, it feels like they have no idea what to do with the tag teams. And it's as if they're building up for an 8-man tag team ladder match at WrestleMania. This is the only way I see them going with this. In typical WWE fashion, it feels as if every WrestleMania, we need a ladder match. We need those high spots, those big spots. And the only way they're going to get it this time around, aside from Shane McMahon committing suicide, is going to be probably from this ladder match, essentially. And I feel like that's what they're going to do, and that's what they're building towards. So my prediction for WrestleMania is we get Otis and Gable, Mysterios, Street Profits, and Rude and Ziggler in an 8-man tag team ladder match. This is the only way I see them doing it. I can't see them doing anything else at all. What do you guys think in the chat? Let's take a look. So let's go back here. So going back to Seth. Here, Andrew says he's a solid worker, horrible promo. I agree. Jamal says they need to end the brand split, just unify the women's and tag titles, and since those divisions are so weak at this point, that's true. I don't see them doing it, but I feel like they should, just because at least for those, the women's division and the tag team division is not solid right now. If they could unify that, that'd be a good idea. And Jamal says I can see him being Seth, losing to Cesaro at Mania, and then going back home while Becky comes back to work. I could see that happening. I could see Becky Lynch coming back after WrestleMania. That sounds like a good idea. Gil's fan, I agree. He says I really did not expect Dominik to beat the Street Profits. Neither did I. But Gil's fan disagrees about the brand split. He says, do you really want Sasha and Seth on Raw too? Ooh, that's overkill. That is true. Did not think of it that way. Andrew, I think you could just keep the brand split, except make the women's and and the belts unified, the tag belts unified. That's not a bad idea. And Andrew says we're getting some cluster at Mania for the tag belts. It's the only way. It's so obvious. It has ladder match written all over it. And Gil's fan, them doing a ladder match at WrestleMania 36 with no fans was insanity. Jimmy Uso has been missing ever since for that. Yeah, that is true. And to be fair, that was a solid ladder match. The triple threat ladder match was very good. I enjoyed it, but nowhere with no crowd, it was tough to watch. And Brian says, somewhere Mike just cringed. So obviously, talking about Mike Tedesco, our Raw recapper, who also does our Raw post show, the Wrestleview Raw post show every Monday night following Raw with his lovely wife Victoria Tedesco. Make sure to check them out. So yes, Mike probably just cringed at the idea of having Seth on Raw as well. Going back to the show. Something to make us feel even older than we actually are. We see a clip of Edge winning the World Heavyweight Championship 14 years ago. 14 years ago. Let that sink in. Think back of where you were 14 years ago, and then fast forward and just think that Edge is still actually going and still one of the top guys in the company. It's crazy. Crazy. So Daniel Bryan's in the ring. So we're starting off the second hour in a way that we would normally kick off the first hour. So usually the first hour kicks off with Daniel Bryan, Edge, or a Roman Reigns promo, and then we get some tag match or some match or whatever. This time was the opposite. Literally, whatever we get with the women's division usually on the second hour was on the first hour, and whatever we got on the first hour we ended up getting on the second hour. So nothing wrong with that. It changed it up a little bit. So we got Daniel Bryan in the ring, and he cut a promo. It was a very good promo. Again, regarding Edge, regarding Roman Reigns. He tells Edge, you think you can beat Roman Reigns? Well, I know I can beat Roman Reigns. And then he tells Roman, I'm going to tap you out. And then out comes Roman. And he just cuts another good promo. Again, I sound like a broken record right now. I know I sound like Seth Rollins every week with a broken record. But I'm going to sound like a broken record. Roman Reigns killed it out there. Just a good promo. A solid promo. He tells Bryan, you could lie all you want. And I could let your little white lies, I could believe them. But don't drag my name into the mud type of thing, and don't lie about me, don't lie about the tribal chief, and say you're going to get me to tap out. He said, I'd rather die than tap out. I'd rather lose my arm than tap out. It was just a very good promo. Honestly speaking, just a very good promo. Probably the promo of the night. I very much enjoyed it. Very, very much enjoyed it. And then Daniel Bryan he ends it by saying, look, Roman, I hope you don't die. but whether you tap out or not, I'm going to beat you for the Universal Championship at FastLane. And, that was a good way to just kind of close it all together, at least until the end of the show. So that was good. My tweet, sorry. Great promo between Bryan and Roman. It didn't drag out for too long, and Bryan actually has me believing that he can get the win versus Roman at Fastlane. But my predictions on that one on our Wrestleview SmackDown Post Show, which we will discuss in a little bit. Again, Bryan did such a good job. I could kind of believe that Bryan could get the win, but we'll see. We're gonna discuss all that. What did you guys think about that Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns promo? Let me know. If you guys are watching us on repeat or watching me on repeat, following the chat on repeat and everything, let us know. Leave a comment. What did you guys think? Not only about this promo, but what did you guys think about the show itself? I thought it was good for the most part. I very much enjoyed it, but let me know what you guys think. Going back to the chat, so Jamel says, a chill ran down both the spines of the Tedescos at the thought of Sasha and Seth on the same show every week again, and Quentin cringed. Yes, he did. Top that with the Fiend, and the breaking news will be the Tedescos quitting Wrestleview. Well, the Fiend, I wish we could talk about the Fiend, but he's not on SmackDown. He is on Raw, but I guess when we get closer to WrestleMania, we'll discuss that. Or actually, we will discuss him a little bit when we do our Fastlane predictions. And Andrew says Roman really cutting great promos now. Yeah, he's taken it up just another level ever since he came back last summer. Jamal says bet money Roman taps while the ref and or Edge are down during the match on Sunday. I could so see that happening, and that's such a good call right there, Jamal. Such a good call. I could see Roman Reigns tapping out with the referee distracted easily, and it would add much more to it. Gil's fan, the Tedescos quit, but they leave the curtains to Roy. If you guys are missing these little jokes or these little puns or whatever you want to call them regarding the Tedescos, make sure to check them out on Mondays on the Raw Wrestleview post show. And Brian says they've always had great chemistry. Looking forward to their match on Sunday. I think it's gonna be a very good match. I think it's going to be a very good match, actually, regarding Roman and Daniel Bryan. I'm looking forward to that one. Going back to the show, we got Sami Zayn versus King Corbin. So, relatively short match. Kevin Owens doing commentary. Sami tries to cheat, right? Tries to undo the top turnbuckle. Referee tells him, nope, you can't do that. Sami turns around. Corbin hits him with end of days. 1, 2, 3. Corbin gets the win, and Sami argues with Kevin, who is at ringside doing commentary, and Sami tells him, I'm not crazy, Kevin, you're blind, and then Sami attacks Kevin Owens. He just goes crazy, and he hits him side of the head. So I could see either they announce this match really late, and we have Owens versus Sami at Fastlane, or they build this up and have them, have the friends have their match at WrestleMania. I feel like that's what they're going to do. I think we'll probably get at this point Sami versus Kevin at WrestleMania. Let me know what you guys thought about that match or that whole segment or that whole promo involving Corbin, Sami, and Kevin Owens. All right, let me know about that. Let's take a look at this here. So, I wrote, we end up getting Sami and Corbin on SmackDown, which leads to Sami attacking Kevin Owens. A good win for Corbin, right? It's a good win for Corbin. He needs it because it feels like they're not sure what to do with him at this point, especially if they're going to have a Sami feud with Kevin. And I tweeted it out, but I'm guessing we get Sami and Kevin at WrestleMania, and unless they get something for Corbin, he will not be at WrestleMania. And that's a problem. If they're sticking Sami with Kevin at WrestleMania, that's fine, but they got to figure something out for Baron Corbin. They definitely do, or else this guy's off WrestleMania. And then it's announced we're getting Shinsuke Nakamura versus Seth Rollins at Fastlane. We're going to get into that, right? We will be getting into that. So taking a look at the chat, what do you guys think? And Gil's fan, Sami and Kevin were right about fighting forever. Jamel says, Sami's documentary is going to be great, better than Wrestling with Shadows. Yes, that was for those that are not very familiar with Wrestling with Shadows. That's the Bret Hart documentary that came out, or that was recorded prior and during the Montreal Screwjob, so around 96, 97, more so 97, where that was recorded. And Andrew, pretty sad we're going back to a Kevin and Sami feud. Yeah, it's one of those. It's like it's a reliable feud to go back to, but how many times are they gonna go back to the well, so to speak? There's only so many times they can go back to that feud. It's reliable, but eventually it does get old. It does get quite old. And Bryan says, I can see the three of them having a gimmick match at Mania. It's it's possible, and then Andrew agrees as well. He says we could get a triple threat with Corbin, Sami, and Kevin at WrestleMania. Gills fan says at least the roles have been reversed. So at least in this case, Sami's the heel and Kevin's the babyface, as opposed to Kevin being the heel and Sami being the babyface. So I don't know how they'll get Corbin involved in that triple threat exactly, but who knows, right? With writing being the way it is, it could happen. We could get a triple threat match. All right. Next up, we got something I very much enjoyed. This. It's Apollo Crews and Big E. Now, we've spoken in the past about Roman Reigns elevating his promos. Big E has always been solid on the mic. Always been very charismatic, very entertaining. But when he flips the switch and he becomes serious and you get that in your face, I'm going to rip your head off, Big E, that is some, to quote, who, that's some good shit. All right. Absolutely loved this promo, or this interview rather, involving Apollo Crews and Big E. Big E, he says, well, you want to talk about reconciliation? I want to talk about vengeance. This kumbaya, we are the world. This is not happening. This is not happening at all. He tells Apollo you have 2 days. Enjoy March. Enjoy the present because your near future is dark. It's bleak. It's not good. And, he tells Apollo, well, I'm going to retain my Intercontinental Championship at FastLane. And you're going to get, I'll beat you up, right? And Apollo says, think twice. So this is the part where I know it's going to take time with Apollo. And if they're going to do it, I guess they may as well stick with Apollo doing this for a while. It's the accent. It just seems forced. They could have easily done this character without the accent, because I truly feel as if this accent doesn't add enough to it, like to the character, to the point where you're like, oh, they really needed this accent. There was no point for this accent. There really isn't. Anyways, accent aside, I thought Apollo was good. I thought he was good. Think twice before talking to Nigerian royalty like that. He says it reminds him of an old Nigerian proverb that his great-grandfather would tell everybody, which is, if you fill your mouth with a razor, you're going to spit out blood. And he's going to crack Big E's face open, and he's going to stand there, and then he's, Nigerian warrior, and this and that. And then Big E says, to hell with this. I'm not waiting to FastLane. I'm not going to wait for FastLane. So Big E leaves the set. Apollo leaves the set. Big E he finds a golf cart. And for a split second, I thought they were going to do some AEW segment. Thankfully, they didn't. So AEW, sorry. Big E drives around in the golf cart, finds Apollo. And I actually enjoyed this by Apollo, where Apollo saw Big E, because Apollo's like, oh, I'm right here. Then he sees Big E, and he just kind of froze. And then that's when the heelish part, the heelish character in a way, or characteristics, so to speak, came out from Apollo. Where, he's panicking. He's like, well, I don't want this. And he starts to run away. And, Big E attacks him, and he throws him to the locker. And then finally the referees break it up. So it was a good brawl. It was a very good brawl. I actually enjoyed it. And I think we're going to get a good match at FastLane. My only thing is the following. And I tweeted this. I said, that kind of got me hyped for their Intercontinental title match at FastLane. It's going to be a brawl. My only thing with this is we've seen this match a few times already. That's my problem. If we had only gotten this match maybe once prior, I wouldn't have such a problem with it. But it's the fact that we've gotten Apollo Crews versus Big E several times already, and Big E's beaten him clean every single time. where you're kind of like, well, do we really need this again? Granted, it's a new character, it's a new look for Apollo. I get that, but we've gotten this enough times already, right? Let's take a look at the chat and see what you guys think. So Andrew says, we may have to change the name of WrestleMania to Clustermania. Jamel, that's some good shit, pal. Yeah, it is. Andrew, even with that accent, it was good. Yeah, that's the thing. Despite the accent from Apollo Crews, it was a good promo. It really was a good promo. Jamel says, I think Big E gets the WWE or Universal titles at or by Survivor Series. If done properly and if booked properly, there's no reason why Big E cannot be champion by the end of the year. I totally agree, Jamel. Totally agree. Bryan, I really hope they continue to build him up. Big E has every tool you would want and need to be in the main event soon. I agree with that. He definitely needs to be in the main event. Andrew, I have a feeling that they are doing this because of Black Panther and stuff and having Apollo being a royal and the accent. I don't know. Maybe, possibly. Who knows? Who knows, Andrew? It's a possibility. So Gills fan says, a presidential aide from Nigeria tweeted his approval to Apollo, so I don't think he'll drop the accent. I did not know that, Gills fan. That's actually very interesting and kind of cool in a way. I did not know that. So a presidential aide from Nigeria tweeted his approval towards Apollo Crews. Nice. That's nice. Andrew telling Jamel, he says, Big E versus Bobby, if they do that Raw versus SmackDown stuff at Survivor Series, that could be interesting. Champion versus champion. If Lashley is somehow champion by Survivor Series and Big E as well, and you have champion versus champion, those two guys at Survivor Series, that would be one physical match. Jamel, I'll be damned, the Apollo stuff is growing on me. Think he gets the title and they run it back at Mania, maybe a stipulation being added. I agree. I agree, Jamal. And it's slowly growing on me. I'm being honest, especially tonight, because it was a good promo and it didn't seem over the top where he was in the ring and he had the robe and he had his bodyguard with him. My only problem with it is just the accent, but I'll overlook that. Aside from that, this new look Apollo hasn't been bad at all. It's slowly growing. And I do agree with that. I agree with what you're saying, Jamal, and we're going to get to it in our FastLane predictions. We're going to get to that. We're really going to get to that. Brian says, yep, play up the Big E injury, have him lose it at FastLane, then do a hardcore match at Mania. I can see them doing a no disqualification match, a hardcore match, yeah. I can see them doing that. We'll get into our FastLane predictions. I like this. A lot of different ideas, and some very good ideas as well. Some very good ideas. All right. Next up, we had Bianca Belair versus Shayna Baszler with Nia Jax. So, Bianca comes out. Shayna comes out with Nia. And then for some freaking reason, we have Sasha Banks' music. And she comes out. The only good thing about this Sasha Banks crap was she was on my screen for this match for roughly 20 seconds. That was it. There was no reason for Sasha Banks to come out at all. Her coming out saying good luck and then leaving, there was no reason for that. Sasha Banks not showing up for this match at all would have had the same effect as it did now. Literally the same thing. Have Sasha Banks away from this match. Just have her watch the match backstage even for a split second. When you cut backstage, you see Sasha watching the match. Haha, she's laughing, and that's it. No reason to have Sasha Banks come out and just ruin this. Please don't. Please don't. I like Bianca. I have nothing against Shayna. Good stuff about Nia. Spoke about that last week and even earlier today or earlier tonight. It's just Sasha stuff. It's shit. It's shit. It's bad. Keep her away from my television. Please. 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 As for the match itself, it wasn't bad. The match ends with Natalya and Tamina actually attacking Shayna from behind, and the referee calls for the bell. Which was actually interesting because I had completely forgotten about Natalya and Tamina. So the fact that you have them come out and you have them interfere, that tag team, I'm not gonna say it's growing on me, but it's actually showing to serve a purpose. It actually kind of is serving a purpose, and it looks like they're slowly building them as a tag team. Which, credit to them, they're attempting to do something, right? They're attempting to do something with Natalya and Tamina. My only problem with this is just Sasha Banks. literally. Nothing else. So getting into this, so there you go. Shayna gets the win against Bianca because of disqualification. I actually didn't hate Bianca versus Shayna. The idea of having Tamina and Natalya actually get involved, that's some continuity, right? And they're slowly building Natalya and Tamina into a credible tag team. Kind of. Literally. Kind of. Let's take a look at the chat. What do you guys think? So going back to Big E and Apollo Crews, Andrew says, I was kind of thinking with them fighting in the back, maybe a false count anywhere at some point. That could work. That could definitely work. Quentin says Apollo, no Crews. It's actually good. Jamel says, the only thing I don't want is if Apollo wins, please don't have tribal dancers out for his title celebration. Man, don't even put that in the universe, please. Please, I don't want anyone getting any ideas. But I agree. And Andrew says, what a partner at the end of the match. He left all the heels beat up Bianca. Yeah. Yes. And Bryan, exactly what a babyface would do, Andrew. Quentin says Sasha is ratchet. That's one way of putting it. And Jamel says, it's been 11 years, but they are finally trying to do something with Tamina. See, my question, I know you said 11 years, but how long has Tamina been with the company? Because it feels like she disappears for 10 years, comes back for 2 weeks, and then disappears for another couple of years. So how long has she actually been there? Does anyone know? Let me know, please. I'm actually curious about this. Quentin says, what's worse, Tedesco's curtains or Sasha Banks? Sasha, enough said. That's hands down, not even close. It's not even a debate. Gil's fan, perhaps the script was wrong. Perhaps Sasha was supposed to say she wouldn't help her partner. Maybe. Look, everything about Sasha Banks is wrong for me. Nothing's working. So, there you go. And Gil's fan says, 11 years. Yes, 11 years. And Jamel, what a good babyface Sasha Banks is. That's my problem. I don't know if they're trying to turn Sasha into a babyface. Or sorry, keep her as a babyface. I don't know if they're trying to turn her into a heel. Does anyone even know? What they're trying to do with Sasha Banks here? Anyone? And Jamal says Tamina has always been in WWE. And Andrew, that's Snuka longevity. Yeah. This entire women's division is a mess. The SmackDown women's division is a mess. Not that the Raw one is any better. So they got to figure that shit out. They really got to figure that out. All right, and we get to the main event. The main event of the show, it's Edge, the 2021 Men's Royal Rumble winner, against main event Uso, main event Jey. Edge versus Jey Uso. The winner will be a special ringside enforcer for the WWE Universal Championship match at FastLane. So something that they did mention, Michael Cole mentioned this. He said the special enforcer will have some authority during the match. So I'm guessing we're getting like a Mike Tyson feel to it from WrestleMania. So we'll see how it goes, right? WWE is very ambiguous when it comes to these things, so who knows? Daniel Bryan's on commentary, and as we mentioned earlier, Bryan did a very good job on commentary, putting over both Edge and Jey Uso. He did a fantastic job putting them both over. He really did. As for the match, look, Jey attacked Edge's ribs. Edge attacked Jey's shoulder. It was a physical match. We only got one frog splash this entire SmackDown and only one suicide dive, and both of those came in the main event. So it looks like our rants are actually paying off, because we used to get 3-4 frog splashes every SmackDown and 10 suicide dives. It looks like they're cutting it down. So that's actually very interesting. And a good thing, right? Very physical match. Edge lands a jumping DDT. Michael Cole calls it vintage Edge with the DDT. And as for the ending itself, look, Jey came out of this looking strong. He really did. Because he hits Edge with the super kick. He hits Edge with the frog splash. And he doesn't go for the cover right away, right? He doesn't go for the pin. Why? Because he's injured. His shoulder hurts. So that buys Edge a couple of seconds. By the time Uso finally goes for the cover, it gives Edge enough time to recover, and he kicks out. Then Edge, kind of pushes. Edge kind of pushes Jey away, hits him with the spear. 1, 2, 3. Edge wins. Kind of predictable. Nothing wrong with that, but it was predictable, especially with the way they were hyping Edge up the entire show. I would have been extremely shocked and just surprised had Uso won this. Not saying it's the wrong call. I think it's a good call having Edge win it. And there's a lot of ways they could play this out at Fastlane. So Edge gets the win. And out comes Roman Reigns after the match. Hits Edge with the spear. He tells Daniel Bryan, come tap me out. Bryan gets up. He's attacked by Jey Uso. And Roman beats him up in the ring. And that's your SmackDown. And my thoughts about this. So I wasn't a big fan of the first hour. I really wasn't. But the second hour was better. I enjoyed the second hour much more than I enjoyed the first. We got a lot of Fastlane and WrestleMania build-up too. Jey, Edge, Roman, Big E, Apollo, and I'll add Daniel Bryan because I forgot to add him there. All looked great tonight. We had 6 matches on SmackDown, which is always fun on a wrestling show. I believe we got another 6 matches last week, so we're averaging 3 matches an hour on SmackDown. For a 2-hour show, you're getting 6 matches. That's actually pretty good. That's really good. And some good ones too. I quite enjoyed that main event. And then let's see. I voted thumbs up. Let's take a look at the results. If you guys didn't vote, go on our Twitter page at Wrestleview and vote. 80% gave it a thumbs up. 20% gave it a thumbs down. I personally gave it a thumbs up just because I thought the second hour was significantly better than the first. I did not hate the first hour, but I'll tell you this. If the second hour would have been a repeat of the first, I would have given the show a thumbs down. I really would have. But I thought they recovered well. I thought it was a good show overall, especially the build-up to Fastlane in the end. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to cut to the chat. Let's take a look. So Gil's fan talking about Tamina says her debut was May 2010. Wow. 11 years ago already. Wow. Thank you for that, guys. Thank you for that, Gil's fan. Brian says, I remember seeing Tamina at WrestleMania 8. And Brian says, again, no Bayley or Carmella. Jamel, Bruno Sammartino winning the WWF title. Tamina was in the back. Mega Powers exploded. Tamina was in the back. Invasion Angle. Tamina was in the back. Tamina used to valet for Luthez. Gil's fan, Carmella was interviewed backstage for the YouTube channel and Billie Kay finally appeared. See, this is my problem with this. Is that we have so much content. We have 3 hours of Raw. 2 hours of SmackDown. You have NXT on Wednesdays. You have pay-per-views on Sundays. You have Talking Smack. You have the Raw post show as well, right? You have main event, and then you have these YouTube clips. So they have so much stuff going on that you could easily miss it. And I missed that, for example. Like Gil's fan mentioned, Carmella was interviewed and Billie Kay appeared. I missed that. I would not have had a clue. There's no explanation as to why Carmella hasn't been on SmackDown or done anything of significance on SmackDown for the past month, essentially. Same thing for Billie Kay. No Riot Squad either, right? It looks like their mini tag team run or push, if whatever you want to call it, that got side railed. They're off TV. So, who knows? It's just that's my problem, is if you're gonna have Carmella and Billie Kay on their YouTube channel, at least promote it somewhere during SmackDown. Let us know that these females that actually still exist, that the talent is still there. That's my mini rant on that, anyways. So taking a look, Jamel says, "Man, I really hope Jey gets some singles title this year. Dude has worked his way to be a credible candidate to be an Intercontinental or US champ this year." I agree. I said this. Well, if you go back to our tweets, right, to my tweets during SmackDown, Jey Uso has grown on me. Like, since SummerSlam, or especially since Hell in a Cell, he's done very well. That Roman Reigns push, I did not think would get to anything. That feud between him and Roman, I just thought it would be a throwaway feud type of thing. But they've done so well with Jey, and he's stepped it up so much. The guy does deserve a singles title run. I fully agree. Definitely. And Andrew says, notice Daniel ran at Roman for the spear. Wonder if it was so he wouldn't take so much of the impact on his body. Could be. It could be Daniel's way of protecting himself and working since his comeback. Andrew, that was a good match. Thumbs up. Plus, as I say, it's 2 hours versus 3 hours. Exactly. SmackDown's much more enjoyable, just overall. Gil's fan, I missed the show, but since that means I've had a Sasha free week, I'll give it a thumbs up. I'll accept it, buddy. Good for you. Look, you missed Sasha Banks. That's a good thing in and of itself. Quentin, the second hour was strong, so I give it a thumbs up. Gil's fan Billy wants to be her new assistant. Oof. All right. So Billy Kay wants to be Carmella's new assistant. Let's see how that one works out. And Bryan, really good second hour leading into the pay-per-view. Still give it a thumbs up. Jamel, I think Bayley may be taking some personal time. She recently ended her engagement and she may need a short break. That is true. I remember reading about that about 2 weeks ago or so, 2-3 weeks ago, that she did end her relationship. That's true. I remember that. Quentin, a thumbs down for Sasha Banks. Jamel, again, why the hell did they break up the Iconics? Man, your guess is as good as mine. No idea. Again, they broke up the Iconics. They broke up Heavy Machinery. Go figure, right? Go figure. Andrew says, sadly, no Bayley versus Michael Cole at Mania. Sadly, right? Quentin, SmackDown review, thumbs up. Thank you, Quentin. And Quentin, Roy's hair, 5 thumbs up. Thank you, guys. Jamel, 2 thumbs up. Gil's fan, yes, thumbs up for the Roy show. Thank you, guys. Again, this show would be nothing without you. I always mention it. I love doing the show. I love talking, love interacting with you guys. So this show, if you guys are giving it a thumbs up, you guys are giving yourselves a thumbs up. It's because of you guys. It's because of you guys. And I truly, truly mean that. So that was SmackDown. We do have a pay-per-view in 48 hours. So 2 days on Sunday. We do have a pay-per-view. Quentin, post-show off the charts. Thank you, buddy. Let's get to the pay-per-view. Let's get to the predictions, guys. So here's what we're going to do. We will display. Here we go. Let's write FastLane, right? FastLane 2021 card. Let's see what they have for us. Let's see. Where am I even going to get this from? Jesus. Let's go Wikipedia. There you go. Always reliable Wikipedia. We're very neutral. We have 8 matches. 8 matches for this one here. All right. First match. Let's start off with this one. So we got Riddle versus Mustafa Ali for the WWE United States Championship. So Riddle's defending his championship. Obviously, this is a Raw match, right? This is a Raw match. Sorry. I for whatever reason I thought that came out wrong. So this is a Raw match. Riddle versus Mustafa Ali. Look, Lashley made that United States Championship kind of relevant again, right? Obviously, he's WWE champion, so that's good for him. That's I'm very happy for him. So the title was relevant or is relevant. Riddle versus Mustafa Ali. I don't know. Are they breaking up Retribution? Are they breaking Mustafa Ali away from Retribution? I don't know. I'm gonna predict, and I'll say Riddle wins this one. I think Riddle maintains this one. Why? Just because I feel like they don't know what they're doing. This could go either way. This is one of those matches that Riddle versus Mustafa Ali could go literally either way. I'm going to have Riddle retain. Let's go to the chat and let's see what you guys think. So Jamal says, 2 thumbs down for Sasha Banks, but all thumbs up for Roy, aka the best never. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. So Jamal says 8 matches, all locks. So let's see. Let's see if we could do some sort of bet and make this a little bit more interesting. So Gil's fan says Riddle retains like Retribution would win anything. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Riddle on this one as well. Brian and Andrew say Riddle wins or Riddle retains his United States Championship. I'm gonna go with that. I think Riddle retains. He gets the win versus Mustafa Ali, and I don't know what they're gonna have planned for him at WrestleMania if they have something planned for him. But I think Riddle wins. Jamel, I think we get the upset, and for some reason Ali wins and gets the belt. All right. So Jamel thinks otherwise. Okay, that could look, again, man. Creative is going everywhere with their writing lately, so this could happen. And Andrew says at one point I heard Ali has been working hurt. If that is the case, Andrew, then I don't see it being very smart on their end to give him the United States Championship. So I'm gonna go with Riddle. Quentin's going with Riddle. Jamel, you're the odd man out on this one. You're saying Ali, so we'll see. We'll take about this one, bro. There you go. That was a little comment for that. Jamel, Doug takes shots for the matches you get wrong. We'll see about that. I don't know if we'll get some alcohol involved, but I'll think of it. I'll make some locks and we'll figure out what that's gonna mean. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions, by the way. And Gil's fan, yep, PCL injury. Oof. So in that case, I'm gonna go with Riddle. Our second match, which was just announced, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Seth Rollins. Oh boy. All right. I'll take a look at the chat before getting into this one. So Brian says every match Roy gets wrong, he has to live stream him watching a Sasha Banks match. Brian, what have I ever done to you? That's torture. That's actually pretty bad. We'll see. We'll think about that. Maybe I'll do a whole show where I have to speak nothing but positive things about Sasha Banks. We'll see. That's not a bad idea though. So guys in the chat are discussing tequila shots and alcohol involved. We'll see. You guys are big alcohol fans. I might take some shots. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see about that. So going back, second match is Nakamura versus Seth Rollins, which was just announced. Look, I'm going to go with Rollins. I think Rollins gets the win just because I feel like him coming back and having him lose right away would kind of hurt his character. So I think Rollins gets the win. I think Rollins beats up on Nakamura after the match. And then Cesaro gets involved and saves Nakamura. And that continues Rollins versus Cesaro, the build-up to WrestleMania. So I'm going to say Seth Rollins wins this one. So this was just announced less than 48 hours before the show. I'm going to go with Seth Rollins. So Riddle and Rollins are my picks so far. All right. Let's take a look at the chat. Gills fan says Seth wins, then Cesaro beating Seth means something. That's what I mean. That's what I'm thinking. Like you can't have Seth lose, because if you have Seth lose against Nakamura, then Cesaro beating Seth wouldn't mean much, right? And Quentin says Seth Rollins, unfortunately. Jamel, you'd think they would want Seth looking strong, so Cesaro looks even better when he beats Seth at Mania. So I think Nakamura wins. So Jamal just completely explains logic, and then he goes with typical WWE booking, right? His WWE logics. And you'd have Nakamura win. And Andrew says Seth hurts Nakamura, so Cesaro comes for revenge. Yep. Brian, yeah, crazy suit, Rollins wins. So I think we're all aligned that Seth wins this one. Jamel says Nakamura, going by WWE's logic. So we'll see. So far we are pretty much all aligned. Andrew, Roy locks, and he has to wear suits like Seth. I got a couple of suits, but they don't look like Seth's. I'll tell you that much. They don't look like Seth's suits at all. And I don't know how much he's paying for his, but mine are slightly to significantly more expensive. But that's for another story. That's for another day. Up next, we get a Raw match. We're getting Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon. I have not been enjoying this feud. I know Mike Tedesco, our Raw recapper, has not been enjoying this feud at all. And unfortunately for Mike, he has to cover this. He's been covering this stuff. I could see Strowman versus Shane going one of two ways. I do not see Strowman winning this. I do, however, see this match either ending in a disqualification. Sorry, I could see this match ending in a disqualification, or I could see Shane McMahon weaseling and cheating his way and getting a win. I don't see Strowman winning this. The only reason is I think we're getting this match again at WrestleMania. Likely a no disqualification match. So my guess is we get Shane McMahon that wins at FastLane through outside interference, through whatever you want to call it. Strowman challenges him to a rematch, no disqualification, something at WrestleMania, which ends with Shane McMahon jumping off the ship, the boat, the ship, whatever they have built in the stadium, 50, 60 feet in the air. And I think Strowman wins at WrestleMania, but we'll leave that for our WrestleMania predictions. So I think Shane wins this one. I'm going to go with Shane. What do you guys think? Let's take a look at the chat. What do you guys think? Jamel says, who cares? Literally. Gills fan, Shane by DQ or no contest. Alright, so Gills fan and I are pretty much aligned on this. Andrew, checked the WWE FastLane site, and that match has been removed. So they announced it. And I could have sworn they mentioned it on SmackDown earlier tonight as well. So it's interesting if they remove that one. Very interesting. Jamel flips a coin. Shane wins because I think they get some of the zombies from Raw Underground involved to help Shane win. Quentin makes it abundantly clear he does not care about this match. Brian, Shane brings back the Mean Street Posse and makes Braun look even dumber and wins. You know what? I love the Mean Street Posse. Maybe it's nostalgia. Maybe it was just a bad stable to begin with. I like them. I like them. I like them, and it'd be cool to have them back, even for like one night. They've booked worse shit than this. Let's put it that way. It wouldn't be the worst shit on the show. Gills fan, will Shane jump off the WrestleMania sign on Sunday? Ooh, that's interesting. You know what? I say no, but just for fun, if he does, I'll take a shot on our live SmackDown Post Show next week. If Shane jumps off the WrestleMania sign this Sunday at FastLane, I'll take a shot next week on the show live. And Jamel, oh bully for this match being removed. I don't think many people particularly cared about this one. Next up, we get a match which I never thought I would ever have to announce. I never thought we would ever have to see. I play a lot of video games, I used to play a lot, and I still kind of do from time to time. I played a lot of wrestling games growing up. I did a lot of the story modes, and this next match is like one of those matches where you just kind of let your story mode go on simulation mode for 50 years. And you end up getting this match. We're getting Alexa Bliss versus Randy Orton. I repeat, we are getting Alexa Bliss versus Randy Orton. And I'm gonna humor creative on this one. I feel like we might get Alexa Bliss talking prior to the match, and it's the Fiend Bray Wyatt's voice coming out of her body, and Randy Orton's freaked out. I don't know what they're going to do with this. I don't know. I genuinely do not know what they're going to do with this. This is one of those incidents, or one of those matches, or one of those feuds that's sort of like a train wreck. It's so bad that you cannot look away. And this is so bad, I'm actually intrigued. I truly am intrigued by this. Not because it's good. I just want to know, how the hell are they going to make this worse than it already is? How are they going to completely screw this up? My guess is they will not have Alexa Bliss beat Randy Orton. There's no way. There's just no way. I'm guessing this match ends in a no contest. The lights go out. The lights come back on. Orton's knocked out. The Fiend is there. Something. I don't see this ending in an actual victory for anyone. I really don't. I truly don't. I'm going to take a look at the chat. Let's see what you guys think. So Andrew says, Shane kills himself at Mania saying, "Look at me, daddy," while jumping from the boat. Jamel, Mean Street Posse for life. There you go, Jamel. There you go. Gills fan, I hope I don't have to apologize to you next week. It's all good, buddy. Jamel, sweet. Slowly but surely, the entire Wrestleview staff will start drinking on the regular. Moderate drinking. Gills fan, no contest. Fiend takes out Orton. I think that's what they're going to do as well. Gills fan, sorry, I agree. Andrew, Alexa beats Randy via Bray Wyatt. Yeah, maybe. I hope not, though. Jamel, Fiend bullshit happens. Bliss wins. Quentin, I will hold you accountable, Roy. Bryan, just like Mike's curtains. Jamel, they might as well go full dumb feuds from the past and bring in some elements from Hogan Warrior from WCW. That was bad. Shit, that was bad, Jamel. That was really bad. Bryan, blah, blah, blah. Randy pukes, Fiend shows up, lights go out, we move on. Essentially, that's what I feel like we're going to get. We're probably going to get some weird stuff like that. And Quentin, Alexa Bliss is the bait for Bray Wyatt. Yeah, look, I'll be honest with you guys. This whole Alexa Bliss stuff at the beginning, prior to Randy Orton, I thought was kind of cool. Like, it was kind of interesting. I was interested to see what they do with it. But it's just been bad for a while. Like, since this whole Randy Orton thing started, it's been horrible. Jamel, have Randy Orton write a weird comic book. Fiend appears in a mirror that he sees, but we're not supposed to. Kidnappings, the whole shebang. Yeah, that's WCW. That's Vince Russo booking right there. Andrew, I mean, it's going to be Fiend crap, and yeah, I like the Fiend, but it's still crap. Yeah, I'm one of those people that, I think a lot of us for the most part, I enjoyed the Fiend when he showed up at, I want to say SummerSlam 2 years ago now, or a year and a half ago. The whole entrance, I believe it was in Toronto, I want to say. It was a very cool entrance. It was very nice, and then they completely jumped the shark with the Fiend about a month or two later at the Hell in a Cell with the red cell and him no-selling 40 chair shots by Seth. But anyways, I feel like they could still salvage something from the Fiend character. but it's difficult. It's very difficult. So for this one, so far, so I said Riddle, Seth, Shane, and I'm going no contest between Alexa and Orton. Up next, we're getting... Well, we have 4 matches left. Let's go with this one. Let's get this horrible one out of the way. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. I'm gonna put it out there. Nia and Shayna win. Nia and Shayna win. I don't see Sasha and Bianca Belair winning. I don't, for one reason. Mainly because I see Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defending the championships against Natalya and Tamina at WrestleMania. Or on the WrestleMania kickoff show, pre-show. One or the other. If, and I hope we don't, if we get Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair winning the women's championships, tag team championships, I think they're going to drop it before WrestleMania. I think they'll lose the titles before WrestleMania. I truly do. So I think Nia and Shayna retain. I hope so. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't want to discuss Sasha Banks any more than I already have. Any more than we already have. Please don't. Please don't. I'm just going to go to the chat and let's see what you guys think. Gil's fan, perhaps the Thunderdome police will tell the fans to put Fiend masks on to scare Orton. Bryan, this leads to a Fiend on a forklift match at Mania between Alexa and Orton. Jamel, and for some reason Ric Flair gets attacked. So Gil's fan says Nia and Shayna retain. I go with that. I'll go with that, yeah. And Jamel, Fiend on a pole match at Mania. Alexa versus Orton. Jesus, you guys really went full Vince Russo on this one. Quentin, Team My Hole retains. Alright. Andrew, honestly, Randy could injure Alexa because she talks like the Fiend or turns into the Fiend, but really didn't. Something stupid or bizarre. Yep. Jamel, Nia, and Shayna retain. Hopefully Sasha betrays Bianca and goes heel. That's the best case scenario, Jamel. I agree. I think that's the best thing for everyone involved. Just completely turn Bianca heel. Sasha heel, because her as a face is just not working, especially with such a baby face like Bianca. So up next, continuing in the chat, Bryan, I'll go different. Sasha leaves during the match, but Bianca still wins. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. I would not be completely opposed to that. But at the same time, I don't want Sasha with 2 belts. And that's me just being cruel. Andrew, Sasha turns on Bianca maybe during the match. Alright, so I guess we could all agree that for the most part, so except for Bryan thinks Bianca and Sasha will win. But for the most part, we do agree that Sasha turns on Bianca. At least. So we're good on that. We're good on that. Alright, then we have a no-holds-barred match. Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. They've had some brawls on Raw the past couple of weeks. Just absolute brawls. No-holds-barred. I don't know how they're going to play this one, to be honest. Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. Part of me thinks Sheamus wins and somehow gets included for WrestleMania, for the WWE Championship. Really, a part of me thinks that. But then, at the same time, a part of me thinks I don't see us getting a triple threat match for the Universal Championship on SmackDown and another triple threat match on Raw. So I'm not sure about that. I'm really, really not sure about that. Logic tells me we're getting Sheamus somehow. But at the same time, McIntyre has to keep that momentum going because he needs it, right, going into WrestleMania. But if Sheamus is not in that triple threat match at WrestleMania, then what the hell do you do with Sheamus for WrestleMania? They've cornered themselves. They truly have cornered themselves. I'm gonna go with... I could see Sheamus winning this. And I'm gonna go against my gut. So my gut feeling tells me Drew wins. That's my gut. But for whatever reason, I'm gonna say Sheamus wins. So gut feeling is Drew. Final prediction is Sheamus, although I know I'm wrong. I'm going to go with Sheamus. What do you guys think? Let's take a look at the chat. Here. Gil's fan, I'll only accept Sasha winning if they drop the titles to the Iconics, so Sasha leaves again. Dude, I'll sign up. Forget it. Forget everything I said. I'll sign up for that right now. And Jamel says, my prediction for this one, pain and a lot of potatoes thrown. Yeah, Sheamus and McIntyre, that's going to be a hell of a match. Gil's fan says Drew wins. Andrew think we get a triple threat at Mania. Bobby comes down and interferes in the match. Alright, that's one way. Jamel, Sheamus wins and we get 2 triple threat matches at Mania. That's what I think we're going to get. That's truly what I think we're going to get at this point. So I think Sheamus wins. I'm going to say Sheamus wins. That's my final prediction. And so Gil's fan, I think so far you're the only one that says Drew, buddy. Although you could be very much right on this one. And like I said, my gut feeling says Drew, but my prediction says Sheamus. Brian, I'll say Sheamus wins, so you get a triple threat match at Mania. Quinton, Drew wins in a hard-hitting match. Alright, so we're kind of split on this. We're really kind of split on this. Almost 50-50 pretty much regarding Drew and Sheamus. It's difficult. It's a tough one to call. It truly is a tough one to call. Up next, we have the Intercontinental Championship match. So we're getting Big E versus Apollo Crews. And I'm torn. I am truly torn. I don't know if they go back to the Big E injury and they have Apollo Crews come out as the victor. I don't know if they continue to push Big E, because I'll tell you this. We're getting a rematch. We're getting Big E versus Apollo Crews at WrestleMania. I think we're getting it. 3 weeks out, 3 weeks away from WrestleMania, they're not going to get another opponent for Big E. So it's going to be Apollo Crews. Now, my thing is, do they get Apollo Crews win via distraction, uses a chair or anything, and the ref doesn't see it, and we get a new champion? Or do we get Big E accidentally getting himself disqualified, so Apollo wins but Big E retains? Like, what are we gonna get? I'm not sure. And to be honest with you, I'm finding this one to be a difficult one to call, just because I know we're getting a rematch, but it makes no sense. If Big E wins yet again, then there's absolutely no reason for a rematch. Absolutely no reason for a rematch. So for this one, I think we're getting a dirty finish. I think we're getting a dirty finish. I think we're getting a no contest. They just beat each other up. Weapons get involved. Steel steps get involved, I think. And we get a no contest. Either we get a no contest or Apollo Crews wins by disqualification but doesn't win the title, and we get a rematch at WrestleMania. So I'm going to say no contest for this one. What do you guys think in the chat? Gil's fan, Big E retains just about. See, Gil's fan, I could see it happening, but if that does happen, then I don't know what they have him set up for WrestleMania, because there's no way we're getting Big E and Apollo Crews at WrestleMania if Big E wins again. That's like 3-4 wins in a row for him against Apollo Crews clean. So that's my problem. Jamel, Apollo gets the win, taking advantage of Big E's injury and cheating. Rematch at Mania with a stipulation added, maybe a street fight or false count anywhere. So I could see that. So Jamel, I think we're kind of aligned on that. Andrew, I think Apollo wins, but not sure if it's a title or just a DQ count out, no contest. So far, myself, Jamel, and Andrew are aligned on this, as well as Brian, who says Apollo wins by DQ because E gets disqualified and you get a false count anywhere. So there you go. So we're kind of all aligned on that one. Andrew, tell if this match and the Sheamus Drew one goes no contest, the internet will explode. I fear we're gonna get 2 or 3 matches on this card that will end in a no contest. I think Orton Alexa goes no contest. We could get Shane Strowman in a no contest, but I feel like Shane kind of cheats to get the win. I think this one could go no contest, and Drew Sheamus could go no contest. So we could easily get a couple of these that go no contest. Quentin says, I like both Big E and Apollo, but again, I don't care about the match. See, I'm slowly getting invested in the match, but it's the fact that we've gotten this already 3 or 4 times that I don't particularly care as much as maybe I should have. That's my problem with this. And Jamel says, see, I think Mania is going to be heavily favored with babyface winning, with the possible exception of Roman, so I think Big E loses here. Losing here makes sense. All right, so Jamel says Big E's losing this one. And I'm going to go no contest. I do not see Big E winning this, by the way. I'll go on the record. I'll say I don't see Big E winning this just because I feel like he might get disqualified or we get a no contest. So that's my prediction. And finally, the main event, or what I think will be the main event, or what I hope will be the main event. Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan with Edge as the special guest enforcer. So this one's interesting. Right off the bat, I think we could all agree we're getting a triple threat match at WrestleMania. I think that's pretty clear. We're getting Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. I also think Roman Reigns enters WrestleMania as the Universal Champion. Now, someone earlier in the chat, and I apologize, and please mention who it is because I can't remember who. Someone mentioned, I think Roman Reigns taps out during the match with the referee not seeing him tapping out, right? Now, how does Edge get involved in all of this? Does he accidentally cost Daniel Bryan the match? Does he accidentally... Does this lead to a no DQ? Like, what's going to happen? Because I obviously think, or I think anyways, Roman walks into WrestleMania as the champion. With that said, I could see him losing this via disqualification. I could see him, and I could also see him getting the win against Daniel Bryan because Edge somehow messes up and costs Daniel Bryan the match. I'm just trying to wrap my head around how are they going to fully make this a triple threat. And the only way I could see this being a triple threat at WrestleMania, where both Edge and Roman agree, is that Bryan somehow gets cheated by Edge somehow, and they get Bryan involved in this match. So my final prediction for this is Roman wins. So Roman wins, Roman retains, but we get a part in the match where Roman taps out, the referee doesn't see it, and they play off of that factor heading into WrestleMania, which is how Daniel Bryan gets involved. So I'm going to say Roman wins. That's my call. I'm saying that. Let's take a look at the chat. Here we go, guys. So, Andrew says, maybe we need to stop having these pay-per-views in this month or so close to Mania. Jamal agrees, and I totally agree. The fact that we're only about 3 weeks away from WrestleMania, this one hurts. If they could have easily not have done or not do FastLane this Sunday, and it would probably just add to WrestleMania. Especially that WrestleMania is 2 nights long, right? They're splitting it up. There's no reason for this pay-per-view, but we are getting it. So, yeah. I guess that's what they get when you're having WrestleMania so early in April and they want to have a pay-per-view in March. Unfortunately. Andrew says Daniel Bryan's getting screwed. Yes. Jamel, Edge will get involved somehow, leading us to getting a triple threat. Gills fan, Roman wins. Edge accidentally costs Bryan, leading to a triple threat. So we pretty much all agree on that. Jamel, that was you. Okay, so it was Jamel that said Roman tapping out without the referee seeing it. There you go. So thank you, Jamel. And I agree. Gills fan, I don't see Roman ever tapping in his whole career. You know what? Now that they mentioned it, that could be something that they play on. Similar to, I'm not trying to compare it obviously, but similar to The Undertaker's streak. Right? It got mentioned towards WrestleMania 18, I believe, against Ric Flair, where they finally mentioned the streak. This might be something that they play onto for a while. It could be. Bryan, Roman retains. Edge hits Bryan with a spear after trying to hit Jey, and then it leads to a fatal 4-way at Mania. Alright, so Bryan's going a different way. Bryan's saying a fatal 4-way at Mania. Alright. That could be interesting, because you know what? Jey doesn't have anything at Mania. So that could be interesting. That could really surprise us. Gills fan is not a fan of March pay-per-views as well. Jamel, bingo, Gills fan. Edge accidentally cost Bryan the match, and Bryan gets added to the Mania match. Quinton, Roman wins. Jamel, Roman wins. That week is going to be a lot to get through. That's going to be a tough week. That WrestleMania week is going to be something. Andrew, Roman wins, or we get another no contest. This whole pay-per-view could be no contest if that happened. The angry internet wrestling community. Again, I do agree with Andrew. This could end in a no contest. We could get another potential no contest here, but hopefully they don't go that way, especially for the main event. Jamel, Raw, Hall of Fame, NXT Takeover for 2 nights, NXT UK Special, SmackDown, the 2 nights of Mania. Good Lord, WWE truly believes more is more. Yeah, that's gonna be something. That's gonna be a big week for them. That's gonna be a big week here on Wrestleview as well, and I'm gonna get into that in a second. So, going back, our 8 matches, final predictions for me. I'm saying Riddle gets the win versus Ali. Seth Rollins defeats Nakamura. Shane gets the win versus Strowman. Orton, Alexa ends just in a no contest. I think Sheamus gets the win versus McIntyre. Big E, Apollo Crews. I say Apollo wins by disqualification. I say Apollo wins by disqualification. Romans versus Bryan. Roman wins barely, or Roman wins because Edge costs Bryan the match. And Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler retain against Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. I'm saying it. That's what I got. I'm sticking to it. That's what I have. Gills fan, 9 days of WWE in a row. That's going to be a lot. Bryan, I think Roman and Heyman will use their pull to get Jey involved in that match to help protect Roman. Could happen. Andrew, just be glad no crowds with all no contest. We'd have a riot. Jamel, add in Impact Dynamite in that Impact pay-per-view. I'm going to be sick of wrestling by the end of that week. It's the overdose, right? It's that end of March, beginning of April feel where it's just wrestling overload constantly. Bryan says he has Riddle, Seth, Shane, no contest, Sheamus, Apollo via DQ, Roman, and Sasha and Bianca. All right. So those are Bryan's predictions. Andrew, man, we're back to being wrestled out. You know what? I kind of miss the feeling, though. I kind of miss the feeling, especially the past year that we've had. Speaking of which, I know I mentioned something on Wrestleview. So, and we're going to talk about this, obviously, as we get closer. But that just means a lot more content. A lot more Roy, a lot more Mike, a lot more Victoria. Just a lot more of all of us, pretty much. Good thing or not, I don't know. But we're going to be here. So don't forget, we're here on Mondays. We're here on Fridays. We're here on Sundays. We're here on pay-per-views. We're here 3-4 times a week, pretty much. Pretty much. So if you guys haven't already, please like the video, subscribe. As I mentioned, so on Mondays, we do have the Raw post show with Mike and Victoria Tedesco. I'm obviously here with you guys. I love doing this on the SmackDown Wrestleview post show. And then we have Wrestleview Live with Doug on Sundays. Just looking at the chat, sorry. Andrew says Fastlane's new name is No Contest, the pay-per-view. And Jamel says true, back to some form of normal. Yes, I think we all need some kind of normal back in our lives. All right, that's going to be it for tonight. Thank you guys for joining me. Literally, I can't thank you guys enough. This has been such a blast, so much fun. I love doing this. I'm taking a look at the chat. Bryan, more Roy and his hair is never a bad thing. Now more Tedesco curtains is a different story. Thank you for that, Bryan. You're too kind, buddy. You're very kind. So thank you guys. I very much appreciate it. I love doing this. Love covering SmackDown. Love this post show. Love the interaction. Again, my name is Roy Nemer. Hope you guys enjoyed SmackDown tonight. I really did. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We most likely, it's an unofficial confirmation, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be back here on after FastLane for the FastLane post show. So keep an eye out at Wrestleview on Twitter, Wrestleview on Facebook, at Wrestleview on Instagram. We're pretty much everywhere. We're trying to take over the world, but it's not really working. It's difficult to take over the world these days. But we are on social media. Give us a shout. Give us a follow. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hope you guys enjoyed SmackDown. Thank you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the SmackDown post show. Again, this show would be nothing without you guys. Fastlane's on Sunday. Make sure to follow us. It's going to be fun. We're going to talk about it. Have fun, everyone. Be safe. Take care. And we'll talk to you guys on Sunday. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Once more, my name is Roy Nemer, your SmackDown, your Wrestleview.com SmackDown recapper. Thank you. Have fun, everyone. Be safe. Thank you, guys.